Hey everybody, what's up? I'm Dr. Boyce Watkins from Your Black World, and I had to make a quick video because something was on my mind, and I thought that other people could benefit from this conversation. I talked to a mother who has a 23-year-old son, and he's a little bit hurt and angry because his father's not in his life. She said that he's been smoking weed and he's living with me and his grandma, and he's not able to take care of himself. He's working, but he's not really trying to do anything with his life, and so we talked about that, and you know it was interesting to me because I've heard a lot of stories like this. I mean, this is kind of an epidemic. I mean, in so many families, you have these broken, mentally weak young black men that were created from a number of factors. I think a lot of it starts with the fact that you're going into this racist society. You've been sold a false bill of goods in terms of lies you've been told about what it takes to be successful in America. This nonsense about behaving or maybe going to school and that'll get you a good job or whatever. And you get out there and you don't realize how much the world really hates you, how much police want to kill you, how much that white man really doesn't want to hire you, how much people actually fear you. You're never taught that. You're still going into the world, and you're still mentally, in many cases, still mama's little baby because maybe your father wasn't around and able to really teach you how to be a man. And so your mama's raised you as a little baby, and the school system has kind of left you behind because it's a white dominated school system. So their goal is not to educate black men, it's to enslave black men. The economic system has not welcomed you, so there aren't that many jobs in the hood, which is why I say black men have to learn how to build their own businesses. Every black man in America should take a class on entrepreneurship. It is absolutely mandatory. It's a state of emergency. It is literally almost at crisis proportions. If black men don't learn how to start businesses, black men won't get jobs. Black men have the highest unemployment rate in America, the highest incarceration rate in America, the highest homicide rate in America, and the list goes on and on. So what effectively happens in many cases is that these young black men who've been raised without adequate male role models, who've been coddled by their mothers, are thrown out into the world, and they're pretty much showing up to a gunfight without a pocket knife, no education, no ability to create your own job, and then also mental weakness because you were never really taught to endure the struggles that come with manhood. What does that mean? That means that when that man gets about 27, 28, and the little black girl is now getting to that age where she's thinking about picking a husband, she can't really pick this man because he's still broken down like a little boy because of all the things he's gone through in life, some of which are real, some of which are perpetuated by media that's trained him to think of black maleness to be something other than what it's meant to be. We're not in this society, we're not trained to be kings and leaders. We're trained to be court jesters, maybe basketball players, maybe thugs, whatever. Maybe baby daddies, whatever the case may be. And what it also links to is this lack of strength, which correlates to a lack of responsibility, which is why you have that brother that'll have 16 kids and not be taking care of any of them. Now, I'm not throwing every black man in that category at all, but I am bold enough to say on this that we probably all know at least a couple of guys who fit into that group. And so what I had to say to this mother, and I was thinking about this, is I said, okay, so you've got this play, this drama that's unfolded in your life. You got the grandmama who's babying the 23-year-old who's smoking weed and not trying to get ahead in life, and the mother who's in the middle. They're all living in the same household together. I said, you can't control what other people do, but you got to ask yourself, what role do you play in this drama? What is your role? Because you can change your role. You can change your behavior. What role are you playing in this? How are you enabling this behavior? And again, I didn't tell her what to do. I just said you have to really think on this and make a decision that works best for you. I find that when people get to a certain age, they become their own people. You can't really change the way somebody views the world or what they do. You can let them know, hey, I'm here. I can be a shoulder to cry on. Maybe I can be a person to get advice from. Like I tell my kids, I tell them, look, I'm a cheerleader. So I'll give you a pep talk. I'm an advisor. I'll give you all the advice that I can muster, and I'll be good for sending you maybe a little bit of money at Christmas on your birthday, and I'll make investments in you if you are invested in yourself, because that's what I'm supposed to do, because my success should translate to you. But what I don't do is I'm not going to be a walking welfare office. I'm not going to enable bad decisions that I don't agree with. I'm not going to feel sorry for you when you make a series of very bad choices that you were warned not to make in the first place. I'm going to let you take the benefits and the responsibilities that come with the choices that you make. Period. To me, that's as logical as you can be, as fair as you can be. I think it's a little bit tougher sometimes because I think the bond between father and child is different from mother and child, which is why a lot of sons they really struggle tremendously from the fact that if they don't have the father there to kind of balance the mother's love, that 23-year-old, 24-year-old man will still be thinking that he's mama's little boy. He'll still be looking to mama to take care of him, mama to feed him, mama to do this, to do that, to the other. So some thoughts that came to mind were very, very simple. First things first. If I'm talking to a young black man in that category, any young black man that's listening, one thing I'm going to tell you right now is that the world is not going to feel sorry for you. The world will never feel as sorry for you as you might be tempted to feel for yourself. The world does not care what you've gone through. The world does not care how people have treated you, or the world, everybody was mean to you, and da da da. They don't care. It's just real. I mean, in life is not fair. Life is not fair. Just like, but you learn that in sports. It's not fair. It wasn't fair when I would go on the basketball court and the other player was 6'8" and I was 5'7". That's not fair. But you work around it. It's not fair if you go into the battlefield and they've got 10,000 soldiers and you've got 1,000 and you don't even have enough weapons. That's not fair. But you fight anyway. It's not fair that this person over here has $1 million in the bank and you are rubbing two nickels together. That's not fair. But you find you either accept it and you give up, or you find a way to work around it, right? That's period. That's what you do. And so some fundamental things I would say, first of all, to the young black men is, if you're looking for a male role model, and you feel this legitimate pain from not having your father there with you the way he should be, there are ways around that. You can find men out here. You don't have to ask somebody to be your role model for them to be your role model. Think about it. Think about how many people role model themselves after rappers and crazy people they see on TV. You don't have to ask a person's permission for them to be an advisor and a role model or a mentor to you. All you do is watch their behavior. For example, I get emails all the time from brothers who say, I'm like the father they never had, or I'm their role model. And I love it. I absolutely love it. If I can be your father for the 10, 15 minutes a day that you're watching a video, then fine. Let me be your dad for that moment, and I can tell you everything that a dad would tell a son, because I want you to be successful. So you don't have to ask people to be your mentor. You just watch their behavior. You learn from that, and you adjust your behavior accordingly based on what fits you. And I think, and the only reason I know about that as well is because my biological father was never there. But I don't feel bad for myself. I've never considered myself to be a fatherless child, because I had a stepfather who was a real man, who was a strong man, who was a consistent man, who was there for us every day, who raised the household. Now, let me tell you this though. As much as I love my dad, he was young. He was in his 20s. I remember my father was 25 years old, 24 years old. So I didn't even know he was a young man at that time. I thought he was an old man because I was a baby, a kid. So he didn't learn his best fathering until he got in his 40s. But by that time, I was out of the house. So I didn't. He wasn't able to spend as much time with me as he wanted. We didn't. I didn't really get it. There weren't a lot of those like tender "son, I love you" moments, or "son, let me teach you how to do this" type things. We didn't get all of that. But I learned a lot from watching my dad. I would just observe him and follow him and pay attention to how he responded to things. I listened to how he talked, and I learned some things about persistence as a man, being strong. I saw my father do some amazing things that showed tremendous mental toughness, and that's when I learned. I said, okay, I get it now. When you're in a tough situation, you fight your way through it. Whether you win or whether you lose, you fight. You never stop fighting. You always fight. You gotta always fight. So when you lay down like a little bitch, ain't nobody gonna feel sorry for you. You fight. I don't care if you get beat. It's not about winning or losing. It's about fighting. That's where the victory's won. And so, in fact, you think about it. Look at the playground. If a bully comes up and tries to hurt you, the bully will never respect you if you lay on the ground and let him whoop your ass. He's not gonna do that. A bully, but if you fight back, even if you don't win, the bully will look at you a little different because you've proven your manhood. You've proven your strength. So you got to fight back against the world. The world is full of bullies. That's it. Countries bully each other. The United States bullies all kinds of countries around the world. That's why you got so many terrorists that want to come over here and hurt, and do horrible things. It's because we bully the hell out of people, and it's horrible. You see the white man bullying the black man. It's been happening for the longest time, and some black men fight back. We had 200 years ago, we had black men that had their rifles out ready to fight. They died defending their families. But then you have some black men who think they can sit back and pray and hope for the best and that everything's going to be all right as they get their heads blown off. So what I would just say to you is, as black men is, get your training manual on manhood. learn it from whoever. You can learn something from me if you want. I've had brothers talk about how they listen to Umar Johnson. If you like Umar Johnson, go listen to him. Somebody else, go listen to him. But get you a manual on manhood. And manhood really ultimately comes down to the strength of taking responsibility. That means if you have children, you take care of your children. If you have your woman, that's with you, you protect her, you support her, you be there for her. Pick a good woman now, because you don't want to pick a bad one. But with your mother. You don't go in there at 35 years old asking your mama to borrow money. You show up at your mama's house and you say, Mama, what can I do for you? Mama, can I help you? Mama, is there anything I can do? Do you want me to go in the back and rake the leaves? Mama, do you want me to paint the walls? Mama, hey, here's some money, Mama. That's what you're supposed to do in your 30s. You don't show up saying, Mama, I don't have no money. Can you give me? No, that's not what a man does. That's not what a man does. As far as mothers and sons, I think that the enablement of keeping that child as your little baby until he's a grown man is absolutely devastating for the next woman that comes into his life and all the women that come into his life, because he's going to learn how to use that penis at a very early age, and he's going to learn how to make babies at an early age. And if he's out here making babies and not taking care of them, and you're not saying anything about it, then you're just as guilty as he is. You're sitting there, you're enabling this crazy, ridiculous, pathetic behavior, and you're okay with it because I guess he hasn't hurt you, or because he defends your honor, but he's disrespecting all these women that he's coming into contact with. I know a guy, one of the worst black men I ever knew, who literally just destroyed. He was like a tornado. He destroyed the lives of every person he met. He would meet women, fall in love with them, lie, tell them a lie. Literally, they wouldn't even know who he was. They wouldn't even know his identity. He would get them pregnant, and then he would abandon them after about maybe 9 months or a year. And he would do this year after year after year. And each of these women would not even know his real name. That's how horrible this person was. And one of the things I thought about, because I knew the guy for a long time, and I thought about his relationship with his mother when he was a child. And one thing that I noticed was that his mother used to baby the hell out of him. His mother made him feel that no matter what he did to hurt anybody else, it was never his fault. It was always her fault. It was always somebody else's fault. He getting in trouble at school, she never punished him. He go steal candy at the store. His mama would never do anything about it. And lo and behold, he became a man. He became an absolute train wreck in the lives of other people. So if you raise that man to be a little boy, he's going to be a little boy forever. And a little boy does not take responsibility. A little boy does not feel he has any control of his environment. He just destroys people's lives one by one. So ask yourself that clear question. Are you raising a man, or are you raising a little boy? Are you raising the kind of man that you would want to be in a relationship with, or are you raising a man who's going to destroy the lives of everybody he meets? I think that's important. And of course, it's all cyclical. It's all recursive. So those fathers who are not taking responsibility for their sons, number one, obviously you have to do that. You have to break the cycle at some point. You have to be that role model your son never had. But it's really interesting to me, because that father who's not taking responsibility for his son might also have been his mama's little boy for the last 20 years. So do you see how history just keeps repeating itself? The boy becomes the man who remains the boy, and then the other boy ends up growing up and never becoming a man. So we have this cycle of infantilism. We have this cycle of infancy amongst so many young black men, and it is killing us. It's killing us. So a couple of templates for black men that want to be successful in this world is, number one, you need an education. Never go out into the world without an education, without critical thinking skill. The world will eat you up if you don't have an education. So you spend all your time just chilling and getting into silly stuff or whatever. Just be prepared to be a victim. Be prepared to be slaughtered. You're literally like a KFC chicken that's being fed to people in a restaurant. That's what you're going to become. Number two, every black man in America needs to learn the basics of entrepreneurship. You cannot depend on everybody. This economic system was not designed for you. This economic system was designed by white people so they could hire more white people. Every big corporation in America started as something very small. Malcolm X talks about this. You should go Google this. He talks about, look up Malcolm X in Woolworth. He's given a speech where he mentions Woolworth and I think General Motors and other companies. And he talks about how they started off as small mom and pop shops, and they grew into mega corporations later on. So this stuff that you see, all these places you're going around begging for jobs, these places did not start as big corporations. They started as somebody with a dream who had the courage and the audacity to build something of his own. A man or a woman or a person who wanted to create their own empire. Do you understand? So the question is, are you a man who wants to build an empire, or are you a man who wants to just be kicked around in somebody else's empire that wasn't even designed for you, where people hate you and disrespect you and treat you like a little boy? That's the question you have to ask yourself. So if you want to know why I teach that class with Dame Dash at Intelligent Boss Moves, it's because Dame and I relate on one fundamental idea, that manhood is really about war. It's about going into life being prepared for war. Little boys cannot fight a war. So prepare your son to be a soldier, because everybody wants to kill him, either physically or spiritually. They want him in a casket. They want him in a prison cell. The police are showing up with guns drawn, looking to tame him as an animal. The educational system does not want him to be smart, because you don't want a gorilla to know how to read. The economic system is not prepared to bring him in, because the white man is not trying to hire black men. That's why black men have the highest unemployment rate in America. And it doesn't make things better when we're not even equipped to get some of the jobs that we claim to want. So ultimately, education and entrepreneurship are critically important. Teaching personal responsibility at every level, where the amount of time you spend feeling sorry for yourself should be minimal. These are the things that have to happen in order for us to better build better boys, and have them become men, have them come into manhood prepared to fight, because the world is based on warfare. If you're not prepared to fight a war, then you're pretty much going to be a victim your whole life. And at the end of the day, nobody's going to feel sorry for you. And is it fair? No, it's not. It's absolutely positively it's as unfair as hell. So if you think that that we should march and hold a rally and do Black Lives Matter and pray to the politicians and pray to Jesus and hope that things get better, I mean, fine, do all of that. But if you don't stand up and defend yourself and fight for what's yours, then you're not going to get nothing in this world. That's just the bottom line fact. So that's all I want to say. I just had to do this video because I had this conversation with this mom, and I've just had too many of these conversations they start the same way. They start with what can I do about my son? And and I tell you, brothers, if you're listening, let's all step it up, and let's not accept mediocrity or weakness from other men. Let's encourage other men to be strong. It doesn't mean you don't feel legitimate pain. It doesn't mean you haven't gone through something. That's absolutely true. You heal that, you work with that, but as you're healing, you still stand up and fight. Don't show that weakness. The world's not gonna let the foot off your neck. It's not gonna happen. All right, I'm Dr. Boyce Watkins from Your Black World. Please take care. God bless. I'm gone. Peace.